Hello everyone, and welcome to this tutorial video on how to track a bill through congress.gov. So what is congress.gov? Basically, it is the Library of Congress's website, and it provides a link to the congressional record and all U.S. federal legislation information. And the congressional record is really important. It is the published accounts of the debates, proceedings, and activities of the U.S. House and Senate. And you can find information on the daily actions of Congress from 1989 to the present day on this website. And you can actually find transcripts of congressional debates dating back to 1789. So they actually have records of all activities in Congress from the start of the Republic. So if you, for example, wanted to read about the floor debates leading up to the Civil War, those exist. They just don't exist on this website. You'll have to go to a library or order the PDFs. On this website, just so you know, the start date for bill records is 1973, and bill text is 1999, and the congressional record is 1995. Okay? And the data is normally updated the morning after a session adjourns. So they have a session, it'll adjourn that night, the next day the website gets updated. So first, let's get familiar with the home page before we search. So of course, one of the first things you're going to see at this website is that it has a search bar up here. You can get your most viewed bills right here. These of course will change depending on what the most viewed bills are during that time. We also have some information on bill searches and lists by sponsor, when they were introduced, public laws, U.S. Code, and appropriation. So if we go down below, we can see current legislative activities. It tells us we are in the 115th Congress, which is the 2017 to 2018 Congress. And basically, the Congress is every 2 years, would be one session. We also can see information on what is currently going on in the legislative branch of the government. We can see links to House floor activities, committee hearings, as well as what's going on the floor of both the House and the Senate. And if we were to look at this while the Senate was actually, or the House was actually in session, we would be able to look at videos. We can also see here, we have some recent activity over here. And then when we go down, we can get some information about current members of Congress. Then on this side, if you forgot how to contact your member looking at the other tutorial, or you need a refresher of who your member is, or there's been an election, you want to see who your new members of Congress are, you can go here. Here's also where they will have news from the law library, which will change, of course, but right now, for example, they have information on how to track specific changes to legislation with email alerts. So if there's something you are interested in tracking, you can learn how to do that here. Then finally, we have some more information about the legislative process. So if you forget how a bill becomes a law, or you want some extra study guides to prepare you for your test, that's right here. And finally, U.S. founding documents and about congress.gov, some more information. And of course, there's a whole bunch of more links down here that may be useful to you in the future. All right, so let's start looking for a bill. Okay, let's just find the Affordable Care Act. Okay, it's easiest if you know the Congress a bill took place in, but if you don't, sometimes you can find it. Okay, if we know it's not in the current legislation, we'd have to go look at all legislation. And we can just type in Affordable Care Act. And let's see what this will get us. So sometimes if you do that, you will get bills that are helpful. Other times you are going to see bill search results that just look like this. Okay? It's going to be very hard to figure out which one of these is the actual bill turned to law. So one of the things we can do is we can try to see, okay, we know it made law, so we can look to see if it's a bill. We can narrow it down by bill. we can also narrow it down to became law. But this still gives us a whole lot of replies. So if you don't know the name, but you know a little bit about it, this is where Google and Wikipedia can come in handy, okay? So basically, go open up a new tab and just Google the Affordable Care Act. And we'll see what we get. Here we go. We can see Wikipedia has stuff. We can also see a lot of times govtrack.com will come up, and that will be very good for looking up information about bills. So let's see. We can see it is officially called the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. It was signed by the 111th United States Congress. And we can see this is all of its history, its legislative history. So we can see here it was actually introduced to the House as Service Members Home Ownership and Tax Act of 2009, H.R. 350, on September 17th, 2009. Okay, so now that we have some more information, let's go back up here and type that in. We know it was Bill H.R. 3590. And on our filters, we're going to want to pick the 111th Congress. And there we go. It's right there, the one that became a law, the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act. So that's how you can find a bill. Now, since I'm going to ask you questions about this bill, let's find another bill to explore. Let's say, for example, you want to study the Welfare Reform Bill of 1996. And this one, of course, I always forget the name of it, and you'll see why once we Google it. Alright, so let's go find that bill. We're going to Google Welfare Reform Bill of 1996, and you can see it is the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Act. Okay, and we can go in here and find out it was passed by the 104th Congress, and we can see the bill history is introduced as H.R. 3734 by John Kasich. Alright, so we're going to go back here. We're going to go to affordable. We're going to basically type this in, H.R. 3734, Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity. And we know that's going to be 1996. So we're going to look here. Okay, which Congress is 1996? Right here, the 104, which of course it said on Wikipedia. And we'll look. And let's search and see what we've got. And there it is, right there. So if we want to find out information about this law, we're basically going to click on the hyperlink. And here we go. We can see the bill history. So here's some of the overview. We can see who introduced it. We can see what committees it was sent to, what committee reports there were, the latest action that occurred, the roll call votes that were taken on this, and we have a tracker. Now, most of the bills you look up and most of the bills that get introduced to Congress are going to be stuck right here, introduced. You'll see right here the latest action is that it was referred to a committee. If a bill never gets past that point, that's referred to as dying in committee, and it's where most bills end up. So we can also see over here the CBO cost estimates for the bill. There were none. But let's find out what else we can learn about this bill. So the tabs are pretty simple. They're pretty much related to what they actually say. The summary tab is exactly what it says on the label. This is a summary of the bill. The text tab gives you the whole text of the bill. You can see it as a text file or a PDF. Then we can go to actions. Okay, actions first will show you just the overview. This becomes a public law when it was signed by the president. We also see record votes. We can see yay, nay vote 78 to 21. And if you click on a record vote, for example, it will bring you to that chamber's website, tell you what was voted on, how many yeas, how many nays, and then give you a vote breakdown by senator name, by vote position, by home state, how your home state voted on it. Okay, going back, a roll call vote will give you this. A roll call vote is a vote that goes on record, and you can see what the yeas, the nays are broken down by party as well as by their names. Okay, going back to the actions overview, if you choose instead to go to all actions, this will open up a lot more things. And you will see things about confirmation, more votes. Many of these bills have long histories. And we can see amendments being offered as such. So one of the things is you may see something like this, general debate. And if you want to see considered under the provisions of this, we can see that it has links to the Congressional Register House pages 7,796. So you can click on that and it will actually bring you to the Congressional Record, where we can see the Welfare and Medicaid Reform Act of 1996. We can click on that and read what the debates actually were. Okay, other important titles, other important tabs are, for example, the titles. It will give you the popular titles as well as short titles. You can see which amendments passed to the bill. You can see which co-sponsors there were, which surprisingly enough, there weren't any on this. What committees heard the bill and their reports. And you can also find information to related bills. Okay, just so you know what a bill with co-sponsors looks like, let's just pick a bill actually by a senator and how to look up a senator's bill. So let's look up Senator Warren. I'm going to go to Senator, and you can also go, of course, to different Congresses, but we're going to look up what she's done so far this Congress. So it'll have information, and as you can see, we've got a lot of bills, but they all seem to be stalled in committee. Okay, so for example, here we will pick the Untraceable Firearms Act of 2018. And when we click on this, we actually find out that she is not the sponsor. It's rather Senator Blumenthal. But if we go here, we can see that there are 16 co-sponsors for this bill. And we can find out that Senator Warren is on this list. Now, the other thing is, of course, once again, this was referred to the Committee on the Judiciary in June. It is now, or July, sorry, it is now November. It is very unlikely that this bill is going to do anything else but die in committee. Okay? So we see it here. This is not a good sign for this bill. All right, so that's a brief overview of how to track legislation through Congress.gov. It's a really useful website, so anytime you see a Facebook post warning that a certain bill is being considered or that a bill has these sorts of things in it, these sorts of provisions, this is a great resource for you to go and look it up yourself and see whether or not the bill actually says those things.